Some people think that Buddhist monks are lazy because they simply just hide up in the mountains and meditate all the time. Some people think that Buddhist monks are good for nothings because how are they helping make the world a better place? And some people think that Buddhist monks are simply beggars. Well, that one's true. What's up, guys? My name's Bradley. I study Buddhist psychology and philosophy to help you change the way that you view yourself in the world and also change how you can accept things more easily and not suffer so much. And this misconception, I think, should be addressed because I think in today's political climate, when a lot of things are changing and are a little bit scary or very scary, how can Buddhism help in this way? How can Buddhism give us a foundation to fall upon in these tough times? And so the first thing I want to say is that is not true, the first two. The truth is that Buddhism is about one thing, and I want you to remember this forever. It's about ending your own suffering, okay? Ending your own suffering. Now, it's also important to remember that suffering and pain are different things. Pain is inevitable in this life, but suffering is optional. Pretty much what that means is with a well-trained, pure mind, through mindfulness meditation, loving kindness, and compassion, we can come to a place where when we experience pain, we actually don't suffer. We just recognize that pain being there. Now, if you've ever practiced meditation, which you may have based on the title of this video, the truth is that meditation shows us that all of these experiences and these sensations that we have are simply just that, sensations, and they are not who we are. So what I mean by that is when we experience pain, we can recognize that that pain is not us. That pain is not who we are, and we stop becoming identified with that pain. This is the same for thoughts, feelings, emotions, and again, you may have experienced this in deep meditation where you recognize, oh, I'm the one observing the thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I am the one observing that pain. And when we come to this place, we immediately liberate ourselves from suffering. But there is a problem with this. This takes intense concentration and focus, and that's why meditation is really good for that. Secondly, how can we not suffer but still help others, still be, let's say, politically active or change the world for the better? And this is what I wanted to address when it comes to Buddhist monks. First off, Buddhist monks are spiritual teachers and guides that provide insight to these teachings and help you walk this path. You have to walk the path yourself. Secondly, Buddhist monks have given up most, if not all, materialistic items so that they can practice deeper themselves. It's of great sacrifice, and in their community, they are then here to help you find and understand these teachings on a deeper level. And they do that, and they're able to do that because us laymen are able to support them with food. Anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way, is that being a Buddhist monk does not mean that you are lazy. It does not mean that you are disconnected from reality, and it does not mean that you are just simply floating and happy all the time. It is a path and a practice, and it is something that takes great honor, takes great sacrifice to do. And so I hold a lot of respect for Buddhist monks because they also provide a beacon of light of what we can achieve through practice. But let's talk quickly about politics now, because the world that we're living in is crazy. How can we use Buddhism? How can we use meditation and mindfulness to help us in the quest to make the world a better place? Well, like I said in the beginning of this video, these practices are for one thing: to end your own suffering. Simply put. Now, that does not mean, though, that we end our own suffering and we totally disengage from all things happening in our lives. It means that we become present with all things happening in our lives and in our community's lives, but we do so with a clear and pure mind. And this is what Buddhism teaches us, because typically what happens when something crazy happens in politics or in our community is we react, we get angry, we get pissed off. And what does that mean? That means we are suffering. And while some may say and argue, well, we need to get angry to fight back, I disagree. I think that if we stay calm and collected with a pure and clear mind, we can actually do a lot more effective damage to fight those problems without letting that problem create suffering for ourselves. We can do so much with a strong strategy and attack the situation without harming others in the process and creating collateral damage, so to speak. And so when we practice Buddhism, we understand the truth of reality, that our attachment leads to suffering. Then we can liberate ourselves from that suffering, but that doesn't mean the pain goes away. The issue is still there, but now we can approach it with a clear and pure mind. The best example of this is, think of the last time you got in a fight with your partner or maybe a family member. Would it have been effective to stay calm in that time? Yes. Would it have been less pain and suffering initiated on both parties if both parties just communicated clearly? Yes. Working together, understanding another person's problems, and then from there, working to achieve them together. But the problem is there are some people who don't want to work with you. And that's totally understandable. And that's why we do have the rule of law. That's why we do have safeguards and checks and balances in place in our government to help us fight against tyranny and fascism. But my main point of all this is that we simply need to approach the situation with a clear and calm mind. And if we do so, using these Buddhist practices to do that, we can approach these situations even more. Now, if you'd like to learn more, you can Google engaged Buddhism, which is politically active Buddhism, staying calm, staying collected, remembering where we are in this moment, this present moment, understanding our suffering comes from attachment, and then approaching these problems with that clarity and with that, as the Buddha called it, pagnya, wisdom. May you be well. I'm going to go eat some lunch. If you'd like to learn more about these things, check out the rest of my channel, subscribe, and stay tuned because I'm going to be dropping a really great podcast about greed in America through a Buddhist lens.